In today's lesson, we'll be learning to use spreadsheet software, how to use spreadsheet software, and the software that we will be using will be Microsoft Excel. So I'm sure most of you have used it before, but in today's lesson, we're going to be completely focusing on various features that Microsoft Excel offers. So first of all, how to start Excel? You just come to Start and click on Start and type Excel. Okay, so you get the Excel app over here. You can open Microsoft Excel, and once you open Microsoft Excel over here, you can see various things that Excel is offering for you. Okay, so what we will be focusing on now is the blank workbook. Okay, so you click on blank workbook, and this is the screen that you will be seeing. This is the interface that Excel will be providing for you. So since you all have learned Microsoft Word previously, and you all also have learned Microsoft Access, you all will be familiar with most of the terms. Like you all know that this is what you call a ribbon. Okay, and inside this ribbon you have various tabs, and inside each of these tabs you have groups. So for example, this is the clipboard group, this is the font group, this is the alignment group, this is the number group. You have various groups, and inside each of those groups you have various options. Okay, you know about that. For some of you all, this ribbon might be appearing and disappearing. Okay, so what you can do is, if that's happening, just simply right click on the ribbon and say not to collapse. Okay, right now for me it is not ticked here. Now if I collapse it, look what happens is it disappears, and I click on it, it reappears. Okay, so if some of you all want this ribbon not to keep disappearing, just simply right click over here and say right not to collapse. Okay, that's up to you. If you like for it to go away, you can keep it like that. If you want it to stay there, just right click and say not to collapse the ribbon. Then the next thing what you need to know is, this is what we call a workbook. This entire document is what we call an Excel workbook. Okay, so inside this workbook we have multiple worksheets. Rather, we can have multiple worksheets. Okay, at the moment I'm having only one worksheet, and the name of it is sheet 1. If I want to have multiple worksheets, I can simply click on new and have multiple worksheets. Okay, so inside a workbook you can have multiple worksheets, and if you want, you can rename them. Simply right click and say rename and put a suitable name for it. Okay, so the next thing that you need to know is that an Excel worksheet is made up of columns and rows. Okay, made up of columns and rows. Okay, so if you look at the top, you can very clearly see that each column is labeled alphabetically and each row is numbered. Okay, so each of these tiny boxes over here are what we call cells. Okay, so each cell will have an address. So it will go first with the column F, and then it will come to the row number 6. So the address of this particular cell is F6. The address of this particular cell, for example, will be K13. Okay, you can also see the address of the cell over here. This address of the cell will appear over here. You can also select multiple cells by just clicking and dragging. You can select multiple cells. Okay, remember the symbol for selecting is this. Can you see this particular symbol? This is a symbol for selecting. So you just click and drag. Okay. The next thing that you will need to know is that whatever you type inside a cell will appear over here, which is what we call the formula bar. Because whenever we type formulas in Excel, we generally look here and type. Okay, I will explain to you later on why we look here and type. Okay, but just remember, whatever you type inside a cell, for example, I'm just going to type some characters. You can see whatever I type here is also appearing over here. Okay, just keep that in mind. Once I come to this cell, now since this cell is blank, you will see nothing over here. Then when it comes to saving, it's the same as Microsoft Word, it's the same as Microsoft Access, how we used to do. It's the same as Microsoft PowerPoint. So I'm not going to spend too much of time on the saving part. You know the difference between save and save as. If you do not know it, don't hesitate. You can always message me, or you can drop a comment below asking the difference, or anything about saving or save as, or any questions related to anything else. Feel free to drop a comment below, and I will try and reply to you as soon as possible. Now our first task is going to be, I'm just going to close this and I'm going to show you. I have given you all the files. You'll have to go to your Google Classroom in order to download the files that we are about to work on. So each of you all will be given access. I think I have already given you all the instructions on how to join the classroom. Okay, so please follow those instructions and join the classroom. Once you have joined the classroom, immediately come to classwork. Okay, so when you come to classwork, under spreadsheet software, our first activity is formatting and basic functions. Okay, so we have activities, we have quizzes. Okay, so first we're going to do the activity. First we do the activity, then we can do the quiz. So you open the activity and you say view material, And over here there is an Excel document that I want you to work upon. Okay, so you just click on this and let's come back and open a new window. And what you're going to do is you're going to be downloading this document. Okay, so just ignore this and download the Excel document. Continue. It's taking a bit of time to download. Just give me a so. Let me retry that. So I just click on this document and I come and click on open a new window, and then I come and click on this download button. Okay, so it starts to download over here. Okay, so document has got downloaded. So right now we're going to be working on this particular document that we have downloaded. So I'm going to right click and say open. And what you're going to be doing on this document is, once this document opens, the first thing you're going to click on is enable editing. Allow this document to be edited. Okay, so click on enable editing. And what you're going to focus is, we're going to focus on how we can format this document first, and then we're going to be doing a few basic functions. Okay, so the first thing is, you can see this is the heading of the document. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be selecting this from selecting these cells, and I'm going to make it one cell so that the heading will appear from all the way from here up to here. Okay, so I'm going to be selecting from A all the way up to G. Okay, you can see the columns are ending at G, so from A to G I have selected, and I'm going to come and click on merge and center. So merge and center basically means make this one cell. Okay, so I have done that, merge and center. Then since this is the heading, I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to increase the font to 14. We can put a font color if you like as well. Okay, maybe we can go with something like dark blue. If you want, we can also make it underlined. Then over here, I'm going to do the same things for each of the column labels. Okay, so we have names, English, mathematics. These are column labels because they are kind of the heading of the column. Generally in our exam paper, they don't say heading of the column, they say labels of the column. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be center aligning this data. I'm going to be middle aligning it as well. And I'm going to be making it bold, and also just going to make it one bit bigger. Now we do have a problem over here. We can clearly see that not all the data is visible, for example, in this column. So what you can do is, you can manually come and make each column bigger. If you look carefully, this is the symbol to stretch a column. Okay, so this has to be kept at the top itself next to the name of the column. Okay, and you can just drag and make it bigger. Or else, instead of doing one by one, what you can do is, using this symbol, you can select multiple columns. Okay, once you have selected multiple columns, you come to format and you come to something which you call column width, and you give a standard amount of how wide each column should be. So I'm going to give a standard amount of 15. Okay, so when I say 15, all these columns have become size 15. Okay, the width has changed to 15. Then what I'm going to do is, I'm also going to increase the size of the row. Okay, the height of the row I'm going to increase. You look at this symbol. So click and drag it up to here. Okay, that's also done. And let me middle align this data. Comes to the middle. Then next, what I'm going to be doing is, I would like to apply borders to all this data. So I'm going to select this data, and over here I have the border option, and I have various borders that I can select from. I'm going to go for the very simple one, which is all borders. Just simply click on this. All borders have been applied to this. Okay. So these, so far what I have done so far is all what we call formatting options, making my data look more presentable, making my data look more neat and organized. Okay, that's what we call formatting. Okay, so we have various other options also. You can change the font name and all that. For example, you can select all of this and say I want it to become Times New Roman. Okay, that's something else. Everything changes to Times New Roman. So this is what we call formatting. Then next, what I'm going to be doing is, I want an addition of all this to appear over here, which is the total marks. Okay, so there are basically three ways that I can do it. The first way I can do is equal. Every single formula in Excel will begin with the equal symbol. Remember that, okay? Every piece of formula in Excel begins with the equal symbol. So you have to first put equal, then I want this value, click on it. You see that cell addresses come B3, then I'm going to say plus this value, plus this value, plus this value, okay? So these are the values I want to add. I have put their cell addresses and plus, okay? And then you can press enter, okay? This is one method to add all the values. Second method you can use is you can use something which we call sum. So sum basically means add the values. So you type equal sum and you open brackets and you tell your computer add the values from here all the way up to here. If you are finding it very difficult to click with the mouse, you can type the address B3:E3, which basically means from B3 all the way up to E3, okay? And then you can close your brackets. Okay, so just check is the range correct. Yes, B3 to E3, that's correct. Press enter. This is method number 2. Method number 3, you can just come over here in the home tab. You have something called auto sum. Okay, so here you have the sum function. You just click on it. The computer asks you, is this range correct? B3 to E3, is that correct? Yes. Press enter. Okay, so you can use any three of them, any one of those methods which you think which one is easier for you. Once you have entered for one, instead of doing it for each one, there is something which we call replication. So replication basically means I want to use the same formula, but I just want the address to change. Now over here we are dealing with B3 to E3 now. So over here it's going to become B4 to E4, isn't it? Here it's going to become B5 to E5. So I want to use the same formula, I just want the address only to change. That is what we call cell replication, okay? Just can you see the symbol here at the corner of a cell. When you keep the cursor, this kind of a symbol appears. Just pull that down, okay? So now if you look here carefully, if you check the formula, here it's B3. When I come to the next one, it becomes B4 to E4. When I come to the next one, it becomes B5 to E5. When I come to the next one, it's B6 to E6. So you see, same formula, just the address has changed. Then the next column, they're asking you for the percentage. So percentage basically means they want to know the average of what these students have scored. Okay, so what you can very simply do, you have two options. You can type equal, as I told you, every formula begins with equal, average, open brackets, and you select your range from here to here. Be very careful not to touch this because the total should not be coming in your average, okay? So just check B3 to E3, is the range correct? Yes, it is correct. Close your brackets, press enter. The second method that you can use is select this cell, come here, say average. So the computer now is making a small problem. Is the range correct? The range is not correct. It's coming up to the column F. You do not need column F, right? So just click here, erase it and type. It should go up to E3. Okay, so now the average is from B3 to E3. Yes, the range is correct. Press enter. So once again, instead of finding the average for each cell, very simply what you can do is replicate the formula for everything else. Then you may have another issue. You may say, I don't want there to be a decimal point. Okay, there should be no values after the decimal point. Up to you. You can either increase your decimal point using this button, or you can even decrease it using this button. Okay, very, very simple. So this is the first activity for worksheet number 1. Okay. In the second video, you will be seeing the activity for worksheet number 2 and for worksheet number